All right, everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining in. So today's more like a second session. What we did in the first session, primarily team, was to understand a little bit about ourselves and how we can classify. So through this process team, overall, our goal is very simple, to be able to get your awareness in the current QA market, awareness of ourselves as to who we are, what we have done, our expertise, experience, likes, dislikes, location, constraints, visa, all of those things, how to get to your goal. You need a game plan team. It's a competitive market, but programs will help. When I say programs, not software or automation programs, training programs. And I've spoken about our organization, Verkasa.com, a little, I am assuming or not, but briefly, we are established in Los Angeles, California for the last 10 years. Our focus has been software test automation. I got this great opportunity to train online people for over a decade, and I've touched tens of thousands of people in the software testing automation world team. My personal choice or favorite has always been towards Selenium and building automation frameworks, and that is how it's been going ahead. Now, as part of this, the two big activities that we are involved into is our iTeLearn.com, which is a training platform specifically for the QA and automation industry globally. Our intent is to continue to add more training programs as much as we can that are related with the software testing field. I know that there are certain areas where we keep migrating from QA, like certain of us may go into data sciences, may go into DevOps or CI/CD. So even those tools or skills we want to continually add. What is critical team from your side is not to think of you having a need to master everything, but the fact that you have access to it as your interviews, project work, or your just enthusiasm demands, okay, I want to sit down and learn something today. So with iTeLearn, you've got a great learning platform to go through all the current live programs and existing. So that keeps us also very much in touch with what is happening in automation team. We cannot teach older versions because we have to pick up the latest ones each time. But very critically, it is our product, Oneonone.com. While we have not made any changes to this application front end in the recent times, it is still being used across various projects. We are having our certified testers and developers on it working, and it is something that we are really looking forward to take off. Now, this application, when you learn how to use this application, then you're a good tester. If you know how to build this application using Selenium and Java with all the framework concepts, then you're a good automation developer or closer to SDET. So the other training that we are doing team, I hope you remember, uh, that starting next week, that is going to be focusing totally on those topics. So if you go to the webinar that we've kind of put together, the 6 weeks training, it'll give you the entire details. So how we go from manual to automation. So this is a program journey. So when you sign up for this, you will go along with others. So it's not like, okay, a video where you have to self-motivate. You know that every day I need to spend 1.5 hours onto these sessions. And a lot of our JPACT members will be working on projects and preparations as well on the parallel. So these things we will guide team. Not much, but a lot of content as to what we will do is here. Broken down into 3 parts, and that is critical for you to look at: manual to automation, automation engineer, and RSDET. Okay. Once we have all of these along with project work and activities, then we complete certifications. We have you back into a job market. So you're basically looking at somewhere end of September, early October to get your resume up into the market and really go strongly, team. I know the job market in terms of the requirements and the way they're coming up. If you go to dice.com or monster.com or career builder or Indeed and just search for Selenium, all right. And I've been trying to really research by putting even my profile into some of these job portals. Let's just take a quick look, team. Indeed.com. And here, let's say, there you go. See, look at the amount of jobs that are coming, but mostly it is being in automation testing team. So and the keyword is Selenium. But what is happening is when I look at these requirements, some of them are basically saying Selenium or Cucumber or robot frameworks. They're giving an option. See, again, that basically says that they've not implemented any framework yet. If they have already done that effort, then they would say, no, it's only has to be on Selenium because we've put 2000 hours of effort onto it. No, it should be on Cucumber. If it's not there, that means they're very early. In the last 6 to 7 years, maximum, I would say 70 to 80% plus automation projects have failed. And the only single reason, team, is very simple. QA engineers have a specific skill set. All right. They're great at being thorough on the functionality or domain of the application. They're great at understanding user requirements from IT to business to end users and so on. So they're very user centric, but they're not great necessarily into coding. That is not necessarily their cup of tea. Okay. If I build an automation framework, then it should always be that this should be my user group. If the manual test engineers cannot use an automation framework, it would die, team. So a lot of organizations, I'm sorry, I'm just showing this as a background, but a lot of organizations are focusing on building custom frameworks. Great, phenomenal. You can build some amazing frameworks using Selenium, Cucumber. The only fact is it should be user friendly. And that approach has not been there. Till that pain is resolved, you have to learn a little bit coding, team. Unfortunately, yes. But I'll tell you how exactly I'll make things easy, and we should keep going for that. All right. Now let's get back to where we were. A little bit on the introduction is done. Any questions before I continue forward? So we spoke about interviews briefly. We will touch upon a lot of things, team, one after the other. Where are the projects? So tell me about your previous projects to showcase your skills. So, and this is the most important part. In your whole crux of learning, doing, earning model, you need to follow that route, team. Unless you learn and do something, you cannot get to earn. And each of us could be having a different model. Someone who is newer into the market may need to do a lot of learning and doing, and then slowly they'll get into earning. But someone who's already into the market, maybe they don't have to do so much and get into earning more quicker. So this becomes important, team. How quickly are we able to get according to your profile? You cannot jump them. Being lucky, being everything is a different thing. Well, let's keep that aside. End of the day, it's very simple, team. All that we're trying to do, let me continue writing in the same document. Building a solid QA career. In day 3, tomorrow, we will look at a few sample resumes and how interview are done, like good answers and bad answers. Okay, I want you to understand, team, when we speak, right? The minute someone says, hello, my name is Karthik, and how are you doing? I somehow automatically know if this person has got the depth or not. Why? It's very simple, team. The confidence in my voice tone will speak everything. If I teach you like, okay, team, so now let us go build a solid QA career. See, you have to learn, then you have to do. There's no energy in my voice, nor you will feel it. And there is no point in you being motivated sitting so far away to try and earn. How do I get your attention? So you need to, it's not just your resume which is speaking, it's not just your projects which are good. How do you speak in the interviews? 85% is going to be over the phone or audio interview, right? Only 10-15% is where you're given a piece of paper or you're asked to write. So forget about if your voice is good, team, automatically your overall body posture also improves. That correction in voice is most important. And whenever I speaking with JPACT members, at the beginning of the program, the way they speak to me, and after 3 months, the way they speak to me, I feel tremendous amount of satisfaction, significant improvement. And I'm not talking about accent or keywords and so on, team. I'm focusing more in terms of delivery, the pitch, the tone, the voice modulation. Because if you look at me, I don't have a specific US accent or it's a little bit neutral accent. My daughter, even now, she ridicules me that how come I don't have an accent? I don't. But as long as I'm able to strongly communicate my message. All right, everyone. So your voice becomes very critical. And we will look at it practically. Let's take a few and see which is the right way to approach it and the other way. Now, to build a solid QA career team, you need to understand where we are. So for this, what we did luckily is we did the simple user segmentation. Can I get a confirmation that most of you will fall under this category? And I've not got any of your details yet, team, but going forward in the next 2-3 days, we will start keeping a Google Drive for you where you can start posting everything together. All right, how do you develop automation framework? I'll show you one. I'll show you, team. Okay. How do I show you? That is what I've been doing for the last 10 years. Okay. And day in, day out, I build automation frameworks. The art of building automation frameworks is very simple, team. First and foremost, what we do is one, understand the current build process. Like, how is the dev process going? When does the releases happen? When do they move to which staging or production or test box or dev where you have to test and so on? Understand current QA process. So there's existing QA process, manual, and a lot of it is being done on a regular basis. Then there is so this is all about how to build automation frameworks. This is a ahead question, but we will getting there. Now you talk about something like a prototype. Few test scenarios automated. And for this, you can use tools all the way. So the other training that is ongoing, team, and some of you, a lot of you have been participating. Let me open that up. Sorry, I'm switching between because the questions are coming, and Nasir, this is a long question, but I'm looking at it in a second. And so we were doing our automation training where we went about comparing all the tools, team. Okay. And this comparative sheet, and it's not just a theoretical comparison. We installed each and everything. We played around about 16, 17 sessions. We've been doing this. We're currently working on robot framework. We've done installation and some test demos today. We're going to be doing writing few more tests. So to evaluate a tool for automation, I have the following features that I have to go through and understand. And this is not just the beginning of it. There'll be many more that we will add. So what are the various things that they offer? But most importantly, it is all about the automation frameworks, team. Which framework or a combination of them do they want to take? And that comes important. Tool and then framework. Once you do a prototype, you kind of deploy the whole one. We just submitted an automation framework development proposal, the client's name. So if the client name is X, it's basically called XTAF, XTF, X test automation framework. The whole importance team of automation frameworks is what you will learn in these 6 weeks. And any art is such a tool. When you look at it, this is what we built. We want to show you how we built this application as part of this training. We want you to be one of the users, because once you log in to Oneonone as a regular user, you sign in, you have your entire test management here. Your test cases, your automation ready things is here. All you have to do is to execute, follow the 6 steps, install Oneonone in your desktop, take this Excel and run it. So a lot of tools, team, and different varieties. So we will learn a lot starting from the beginning. There's one more question. I'll go back to the Excel after that. There seems to be a hand raised. I'm going to put it down if it was accidentally raised. Can you then raise it again if you need to speak, team? I'm absolutely fine for it to be interactive. You can raise your hand if you want to speak about any of this. Where are the questions there? Karthik, you mentioned today that also in last session, the 90% automation projects are failing. I could not find any reference to it after Googling it. Is there a website link? Okay, that says this. So Nazir, for me, my sources are not something that you will just see as a automation projects in news and so on. When I speak to candidates, when I speak to people at different levels, they express it. When I see the job trends, I am kind of getting to know what is happening. Earlier, they were clear that this is what they wanted. If it is a startup to a mid-sized organization, they will have a challenge to which direction. If it is a large organization, they want to create a automation lab. And that time, the chances are great, but it gets very complicated. My only concern is in terms of the effectiveness of usability by end user for such framework. We're talking about gherkins, cucumber, we're talking about ATDD, BDD, but eventually it still looks complex. And the projects that have gone through have failed. And that is why when we're going, you'll see now that there is a soreness in market for automation. They want to be clear, yes, can we do or not? Otherwise, they'll not get into it. So you should know it in and out exactly what it can do. So team, here are the few profiles that we made as to and named it as a different groups. Once we are good with it, I want to create a plan for each of us as to what it'll take. So what are we saying? Each of you have different age groups, number of projects, purpose, and so on. You're welcome, Nasir. So there are different age groups, right, Tim? You'll have people who are in the early 20s, right, to people who are in the late 40s. So maybe I could even change this to 49 as a number. Age is not a critical factor, but for you should be able to belong to one of these age categories. The only thing I didn't put is in terms of location or your gender, because I don't think in that location itself what you're searching, because you will not try and not everyone is ready to relocate, right, team? So we understand those aspects. Now, let us say, how do I fill this? Your skills on manual and automation, just basic, are you aware or not? Okay, skills means hands-on, I mean to say. The earlier one are just training. So training, hands-on, certification, years of project, current position, role, gap, age. We have, good enough participants in this live session, team. It would have been great to create a Google form and have each of you fill it. But let me generally talk about different categories and see if it fills. So let us say for this manual, yes, automation not trained, hands-on, yes, in manual, certifications, yes, like ISTQB and a few. Years of experience, let us say 6 to 8 years or 5 to 8 years. Current position, looking, you've done QA engineer roles, also maybe a couple of lead roles. You have a gap of a year plus. Does that make sense? And you've done, let us say, 3 projects. That is one team. Now let's look at someone who's 49. Manual, yes. Automation, no. Hands-on, overall at a big level, yes. Certifications, multiple years of experience, high. Gap, none. So what is the need? And you know, what is it that they're looking at? Get to know what to do in leading the QA team, because in leading QA automation team, so they want to get to know the basic details and give guidance. Maybe they're evaluating as to which product and so on. Some of you may fall under this team. Now, depending on how you will look at effort being put, and this effort we will transition. Now, next one, 35 years age. Let us say you've been manual, automation trained, hands-on, yes. Certifications, few. Years of experience, let us say you have about 10 years, 11 years. Yes, again, manual. Gap is none. All right. You've been more like QA lead, engineer, that kind of thing. Okay. Current position, looking good. Good at current job, looking. So now let me, at least for these three, let's try and understand him. One more should be there where, okay, 21 is here. So manual, no, no. Hands-on, no. So no, zero. Looking, role, grad, there's nothing. Age, so in total guidance. In the same details, if I take, I can also put this for a 33-year-old who's never had any experience. All right. No prior experience. Now, if they can only spend a little effort, team, 1 hour a day. All right. Someone who's currently in a gap, who's looking, can easily spend, let us say, 3 to 4 hours per day. The same will be for someone here. And someone who's currently working doesn't have a gap and good at where they are, is trying to learn automation, get hands-on on it. This doesn't have why automation. They would be looking for maybe again 1 hour a day because they have a full-time job too. So depending on where you are, it is important thing. But for any time, if you are in this looking category, let's say we now sort this a little bit. Filter it, filter, and then let's sort it. Data, sort sheets. All right. Now, let's put one more team. Are you all getting? I'm just creating profiling, user segmentations, and you should be able to fall into one of them, plus or minus a few things here and there. Everyone with me, team? Can I get a confirmation on the chat, please? Okay, great. So then we can come up with a specific plan for it. Now, 3 hours, 4 hours. I think we are missing someone else. How about 2 years experience? No gap. Someone similar. Oopsie. Years of experience is only 3 team. Is looking because you need to progress. You're a QA, junior QA engineer. And don't take anything personally, team, junior, senior, and all these things. We are in a preparation ground at this time. We should be very susceptible to feedbacks, at least in our territory. It's just between you and I, correct? You're not even fighting or having an issue with anyone else. Anytime you and I team, that is what is going on. Though you are in a group atmosphere, my address is always to one-on-one, as if I'm teaching, and most of it happens to be common, and that's the good part of this program. So now there's one more. So again, let me make sure that the data is sorted. No. Okay, team. And this person looking role gap none. Manual tested. Okay, this I didn't think I filled anything. Hands-on. Yes, automation. So let's say someone has built automation. Certifications are there. Years of experience, I'll just put about 12 or 8. Someone like an SDET. Not looking good at current job. Role, SDET, let us say. Age, maybe 37, 36. Number of projects, maybe 8 projects. And here, so each of them, what is the purpose if they're trying to learn? Uh, for them, they may be, already into everything that they're doing, but specifically, if they need to learn new tools and frameworks, anything that is happening in that, they need to keep abrupt. If their project demands, though they're an SDET, that, hey, great, you're an SDET, but code in VB scripting and UFT, then what do they do? Or they want them to use Cucumber and Gherkin, or they want them to use Selenium. So they have to be able to understand. So just knowing Java does not make you an automation developer team. Please remember that. The amount of coding that actually goes into true automation projects can be minimized. But what is important is automation. Art of automation by itself is something you have to learn. New tools and automation frameworks. All right. So team, now let's talk about it. How do we take this? This is the first, is it how it is organized? Last time, it were, and a little big. So someone had a question. Let's see for Brazil. Yes and no for automation. Why? No, this is yes. Certifications 5, you're right. Thank you. Number of projects 8. They can only spend 1 hour a day. Okay, cool. So we can kind of delete these. Do everyone fit into one of these categories, team? This name is not very important. So manual automation and so on. Now let's go one by one, team. Let's try and understand. Anywhere here, we're talking about the first one. Let's say you are already in a position, so there's no gap. And this is, again, let me not, I think with userness, people will get confused. I'll just not do that. They'll think which country you belong to. Okay, let's take this. Where is the other document? I think it's here. User segment 1. Link to spreadsheet? No, paste unlinked. Paste as text. Can I get as text? So we basically, how will I understand like this? This is better. Okay, the same thing, I got it here. This is the only thing, it's very big. So at least we have access to it in one sheet, team. So for the first one, see, it all depends on how much effort you can spend and what you're good at. If you have 3 years of experience, is this correct? Okay, hands-on manual, certifications few, years of experience is 3, is it? Is this correct? Number of 5, junior QA engineer. Then age will not be this much. Something went wrong in the sheet. Oh man, something went wrong in the sheet. Junior QA engineer, why will the age be 35 or I didn't change? And why will the projects be 5? I didn't change that. So this will be 28 and there will be only 2 projects. Anyone has a question they wanted to be unmuted? I was seeing a few requests of hand raise. I'm going to put it up shortly, team. Okay, so the first one, when we look at team, if you're at 3 years, so it's very easy. We'll just kind of put it up here. So less than 3 years, experience, less than 3 years, 2 projects, manual QA, no automation, what was the other one? And I don't need the age, team. At least you are able to relate to somewhere there. There's no gap, looking, no gap, looking. So the idea is basically that they've got a low starter package and no exposure to automation. New jobs demand coding and framework skill. You are not confident. Now, remember one thing, team, to master automation testing, and this is, I'm using it for automation testing. It is a general concept that you can use it across anything, team. The first thing is, and we're not talking about, okay, go to iTeLearn.com Selenium, check for any previous batch, team, end-to-end videos, all right? So out here, for example, there's a batch that's going on in July. There's one done in April. There's one in November. For example, take this batch and watch it. Watch all the videos. Now, the difference primarily that I want to address in the way you watch, team, is where is that URL? Okay, there we go. Sorry. So, okay, I'm not logged in. So your content protected will come up, team, if you're not logged in. So members to log in, please. I'll quickly log in. And where was the URL? So you have about 25 videos, team, a few demos videos here, and then 5, 6, 7, some seem to be day 12, so it's in a little different order. Please make sure you go through this, day 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All the videos are like a series. I don't want you to learn it as topic based. I want you to learn them individually. Do not learn as topics or concepts. Learn as simple project. Okay. And here watch without practice, and this is important team, pausing, rewind or forward. Don't do anything, let it play. Just pause it. I mean, not pausing, you can do, of course. Do not do any of these things. So what do I mean by saying don't do any of it? The reason is just keep a notebook. Just take notes on the side. And I want you to pen them down, team. Talk about whatever we are saying. Just keep writing. We'll talk about coding. We'll talk about frameworks. We'll talk about Eclipse, Selenium WebDriver, installation instructions, and so on. Write it down either here or into Google document. And once you're done with that, you then repeat with another live or old video batch, and this time practice. So you will spend a lot of time, team. Now this is how you will be able to do it. So this is almost 30 hours, let's assume. Okay, 30 hours here to watch. Now to watch and practice on a new batch will be about 70 hours. So to master, you require overall at least 100 hours of effort, team. Okay. Now, if you're only spending 1 hour a day and this is what it is, then you just attend a new live training. That's all you can do with it. There are other options, team, and I'm not talking about other sources of learning and so on. We're just sticking with our program. The only challenge with any other sources, team, you do not have a guided tour. It does not guide you as to what to do next, where we're going. It's like a self-learning. What's the whole objective when you want to put projects and so on? Okay, now the same thing, if there is some, let's look at the next one. Quickly, a few ones, please. All you can do, attend a new live training, practice over it, and try for at least NEOT certified tester and NEOT certified developer. Attending your practice over it. This is free, team, and you can just kind of understand what it is and kind of at least appear for these things by prepare over the weekend. Guys, work hard. 3 months, you'll have something on your resume. Now on your resume, how will you put, team? So you're already working, you have that ongoing experience is there. Then how will you add new experience? One, you'll talk about add certifications. The thing about certifications when you add, team, it is not just for recognition. It will help in keyword SEO, like resume search because of keywords. So when you add keywords that, oh, I got the certification and so on, a chance to speak about your skill and how you got such certification. So everyone does not have unlimited time. In the 30-minute interview, if you have good opportunities to speak about something is what we're looking at, correct? So you need to be able to add certifications. Now, if you're already working, how will you be able to work on some projects? You will have to work on some projects, team. So that we will talk about, but add projects as a freelance consultant. So if you go to qaonair.com or a few other freelance test job providers or project providers, you will get a lot of these. So create a profile there, put it up there, play around with, let your presence be there. The whole thing is to get those projects as a freelance consultant team. Paid, not paid does not matter, because for you, the new job is important. Your fight of why are you making a resume? So that you get into a better job, into a better pay package, correct? Or getting into a job to begin with. If you're adding your projects as a freelance consultant, it is adding a lot of weight. Okay, so you've done it on the side. There is no way you cannot show automation in the ongoing projects, correct? So that is where you'll be stuck. Any questions on this side, team? For someone who's under 3 years, 2 projects, manual QA, no automation, no gap looking. Now, the same thing, if I take this and put it here and say gap and looking, then what I would do is you would go through a few trainings, team. Not just this, I will have you go through some more. So for you, got a low starter package. Now forget, okay, this is the same things. No exposure to automation, new jobs demand coding and framework skill. You have a gap, no, gap after a QA job. QA job and you have a gap. No exposure, new jobs demand coding and framework skill. Ting, ting, ting. You're not confident. Attend a new live training. Okay. So for you, there's a lot more things. Attend ongoing live projects. We have project activities team. You must participate in them. For us, it is in fact sometimes more effort to have more people involved in it than helping the project itself. Not that you're not skilled or we don't know where you are yet, but just that it takes time for us to give you a KT on what is happening so far, who are the client, what is the kind of application, criticality. So a lot of things are involved, team. These projects are very important. So for someone who can actively work on it, then you should pick up the live projects. Certification is something you could do on the side, but live projects is something very important. And immediately start adding to your resume. So there are still members who've been working on any or on the lab development and so on at the backend team who've been working on it for a long time. They've worked on it for initial 2 months. They went into a job. They came back into the group. They attend training. So it's almost like a group for us within iTeLearn. So when you are there with Workasa and you're working on multiple things, you get to show that experience. Clients call us, clients verify about your employment, what kind of a project you did, were you a full-time employee or a contractor, what was your role, how did you do, the regular feedback of reference check, job reference check. But you need to strongly start putting to your resume as well, because your gap should be filled immediately. Now gap can be filled with certifications, like I was saying, add projects as freelance, even attended boot camps. See, for the name sake, workshops, you can call this. See, for me to market it, I could have very aggressively called this as boot camps, workshops. No, for us, it's very standard. We have job placement and certified training, Oneonone.com, iTeLearn.com, in terms of how we want to focus things. But you could add the attended boot camps, workshops in your resume. Now, the same thing is also applicable for someone who's working still. The main difference, team, is in terms of of a how many hours can you spend in a given day. Okay, so someone who's having an 8-hour shift, 2 hours of commute, and then hardly left with maybe 2-3 hours, you don't have enough time, team. I'm telling you, you do not have enough time to learn and master and everything. That is the reason I'm saying you have to learn it in a strategic way, which will build your resume, which will get you quick access to the skills that is essential. You already know about the QA industry. It is good. Now, and here you're basically spending, how much time are you spending? spend 1 to 2 hours per day, or I would say 5 to 10 hours per week, team. The biggest problem, team, is you, okay, how do I, okay. 2 months, 3 months, 6 months from now, you do not want to feel that I should have done it. If not from us, from anywhere else, you should have done it. You should have gone through that training. One boot camp would have cost you maybe $500 or, just a free thing or whatever. Your effort could have been done. So look at this, team. You could easily do this. The only problem is this pain will increase consistently if you don't do it. And for someone with a gap, you need to get back into this. So you will spend more. Oopsie. So you will be spending 2 to 4 hours per day. Absolutely. The only reason being you have to work on the projects 10 to 25 hours per week since you're on gap and you're not having a project. The same almost for someone who's got, let me give it different colors here so it's easy for us to see. So 3 years. So this is less than 0 years. So 0 years, someone who's got no things, zero projects, manual QA, no automation, gap, really looking. Spend 4 to 5 hours a day. You're really, you need to spend more time, team. You need to cover and get started. Think of it like a full-time college for yourself. Spend at least 15 to 30 hours per week. And what you will do, where you will be going, we will be sitting on a one-on-one counseling. That we can do it offline, but at least get to know how much effort and what you have to spend. All right. No, I'll take a different color. And let's see, who did we miss? Did I miss anyone critical for now, team? Any questions? Hands were raised. There's one hand still raised. Anyone else has a hand raised? I'm just going to quickly unmute. So, Nima, you have a question for me? Fiza, do you have a question for me? So, Nima, just check you're muted at your end. If you want to speak, you can unmute. Fiza, do you have a question for me?
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can. Yes. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Swarnima.
yeah, actually, I'm fitting this bill. The only difference is I am an experience of around 10 years, but I have a gap of 1 year, more than 1 year,
Sure.
since I have recently moved to Canada from India.
Mm, right. So I think we have that somewhere, but let's see. Here, where is the gap? Good, no good. Looking, experience. No, we need to put that. Let's forget about this. Let's get that there. Okay, so we're talking about 10 years,
Yeah,
and maybe you've worked on about 4 projects, 6 projects.
4 to 5 projects, yeah.
Okay, and you worked on manual only and
Almost, yes. Yeah,
no automation, gap,
yeah,
looking.
yeah.
So see, the crux of it is yours is a amazing resume. 10 years of total QA experience, and I could immediately say it in your voice also, the confidence and so on. That is what I'm talking about. You still may have to put in the same effort, but little lower is fine because you've got a lot of exposure. You don't have to necessarily learn a lot more things. So some of them who have just a little manual QA and maybe not hands-on, I may have them work on a few more trainings and projects. But someone who's got like 10 years experience like yourself, I will directly recommend for you to start off with something depending on your location.
Okay.
So perfect. In here, see, you'll get a job very quickly. So spend 4 to 5 hours. You can get into the market within 2 to 3 weeks, but you have to go in a fast track.
Okay.
Gap raft. This is also gap. All these three are. This is the only one with no gap. So fast track. Again, easiest is just this. Take one batch and just watch it. You may be
Okay.
able to actually pick it up quickly. Here, fast track. Any of these batches will give you the only problem is we have, and that is where we have to talk one-on-one. Where we start talking about your resume, current resume, and then the trainings you'll attend and what we will put. The other thing that I wanted to show to everyone, maybe tomorrow, is the skill gap analysis. That's there in the drive. Skill gap analysis. Metric. Master is fine. So for your case, I have not yet completed. Let me do it in the next session, tomorrow's session. But you can go on a fast track to get into a better shape. This is the skill gap analysis team that we have prepared on multiple skills that we are aware that we require. I don't think this is just a template, just random names that we use team on what all we require within the QA and automation world. So this will be a very interesting thing for each of you to go as an exercise with me. It is your own self-rating on each of the fields, right? From SDLC, STLC, to know, what you don't know about 100 different skill sets, team tools that we see popularly, and we keep adding to this. Not everything do we have a tutorial with ourselves. Our intent is to try and keep adding, but most importantly, what is your level of skill? Have you worked on them, and how is your comfort level? This you'll need to maintain to get an idea. So for someone who's got 10 years experience, you may not have automation, but you may have used a lot of other tools, and that could be an advantage. So your amount of learning will be very precise. You would focus only on one thing like a Selenium with Java and go for that. All right, Sanima.
Yeah.
And you can, anyone who has a question where it is you feel you have to share your personal information and situation, feel free to call me later, not today, but in the mornings. There's one, thank you. Anyone
Yeah.
else who wants to speak? Thank you. Let's see. Then the schedule 1 hour. Yeah, I'm just finishing up in a minute. So sorry, Nazir and team, it's got extended by a minute or two. I'm kind of continuing on this team. I want to walk through what the skills are. Just take a feel of it. What all we need to look at. What are these tools? What are they doing? How important are they for us to learn? How do we put them together? And then we will talk about a few more things about resume and so on that we were discussing. All right, everyone. Any other questions? I can stay along for a few more Q&As. For those of you who have to drop off, the video will be there on YouTube. Do you have another question, Sarnima? You're welcome, Vijaya. No. Okay. How can we balance learning and work on projects at the same time? So very simple, team. We will put you into different groups. Okay. There is a project group. There is a learning group. All these groups are on Skype, and these groups interact differently. There should be no confusion about it. You are learning, but the only difference is what is it that you'll work on while the project is going on. You may not be capable enough to do entire thing of a project. All right. So for example, these skills, you may not know everything. Maybe you just know how to do simple test cases, but there's someone else in the team who's able to understand elements, someone else in the team who's able to work on Selenium WebDriver automation frameworks, or a couple of us who are able to help on CI/CD and a lot of other of these things. So you need to be able to understand that to work on a project, you do not need to have all the skills. Then if it is not called a project, it is called an individual person task where only a single person has to finish. A project is when a group of people try and accomplish. Everyone will have their own skill set. And with newer automation tools, with very minimal coding experience, we want for them to be able to do. And that is what tools like Oneonone also does. You don't need to ever look at the code, forget about changing the code and still write tests. So there are tools, team. So apprehensions on projects, take it away. We will take you into the groups, put you into the groups, and depending on your skill, you will participate. Okay. Tomorrow, let's discuss on resume day, and then day 4 project activities. With okay, we'll look into it, team. And certifications also. Let's see what are there. Any questions? Great. Then thank you so much. I'll see you back. Same link, same time tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. And the team, any questions specifically, we'll keep answering. And one-on-ones, we will also do. Feel free to call me in the daytime for specific questions that you have. Thank you. Bye now.